So the first thing you do is to stop yourself from responding. Bite your lip and count to 10, literally. Breathe first. Stop whatever you're thinking about, trying to mask a reaction, mask it, and then think, what is going on here?
Hvordan bevarer du roen i en voldsom situation, så du bedst muligt kan hjælpe personen, der er i affekt, uden selv at blive revet med? I forbindelse med IG's verdenskongres for socialpædagoger, tog Socialpædagogernes Frederikke Halling Hastrup sig en snak med den britiske psykolog og forsker Andy McDonnell. Han er manden bag low arousal, en pædagogisk tilgang, der handler om at møde mennesker i krise med ro, tålmodighed og respekt, frem for magt og kontrol.
It's not about confronting aggression with aggression. In a confrontational situation, somebody has to back down. And when we're working with people who are distressed, traumatized, vulnerable, it's probably not going to be them. It's going to have to be us to make the first move.
I episoden kommer vi først omkring grundstenene i tilgangen, og så får du også gode råd til præcis, hvad du kan gøre, når du selv står i en tilspidset situation. Hovedpersonen selv er jo fra England, så snakken foregår selvfølgelig på engelsk. Hvis du vil, kan du finde en oversættelse på skrift i episodebeskrivelsen. Mit navn er hedder, og du lytter til Socialpædagogernes podcast.
My name's Andy McDonnell. I'm a clinical psychologist. I've worked for over 30 years of my career working with people with disabilities, autism, ADHD and neurodiverse conditions. And I'm the originator of something called the low arousal approach to managing behavior.
And could you just explain what is the low arousal approach?
Low arousal is a way of being with people in a calm, regulated manner to help them feel safe and secure. It's an approach to managing distressing situations where we alter our own behavior and stay calm and regulated. That's going to be the new definition, right? The rest is the philosophy that comes around it. Basic nutshell is we regulate ourselves, co-regulation, which wasn't in our original kind of model. To regulate yourself first, that conveys calmness to other people. To me, it is about, fundamentally, it's about changing our behavior, reflecting on our behavior, adapting our behavior to whatever the environment is, to be calm and regulated.
Low arousal handler kort sagt om at nedtrappe konflikter ved at gøre mindre. Ikke fordi man ikke handler, men fordi man handler bevidst og med fokus på at afstemme sig det menneske, man står overfor. Og netop her spiller socialpædagogers faglighed en afgørende rolle. For det kræver både faglighed og selvregulering at være den rolige, når andre er i affekt. Ifølge Andy McDonnell findes der 4 centrale elementer i teorien, som skal bruges, når man står over for et menneske i krise. De er bevidsthed om egen kommunikation og kropssignaler, reducer mulige trigger i din adfærd, sænk forventningerne og så sæt spørgsmål ved egen adfærd. De 2 første, altså bevidsthed om egen kommunikation og kropssignaler og reducere mulige trigger i din adfærd, hænger godt sammen. For her handler det om at kigge på din egen fremtoning og hvordan den opfattes af personen over for dig.
With anyone who's distressed, doesn't matter about whether it's autism or working in care environments or you're a parent at home, the first thing is to have a formal low-key response and to reduce arousal in those responses. So at a microscopic level, that means try to avoid staring at people because it's physiologically arousing. Give people space because the closer you are, you can find someone who's melting down or distressed. The amygdala in their brain just overfries in their limbic system and they get into their own fight and flight mode. That then led into other micro skills about contact, touch. Most adults who work with children forget how tall they are. I'm a big guy, so I have to use a lot of humour and I get down to kids' heights when I'm working with kids. In fact, I saw a woman recently in the secure unit and she was lying outside on a slab. She said, I'm having a rough time. She wanted to see me. And she wouldn't look up, so I had to lie down next to her. Can you just tell me what's wrong? And she went, no. And I said, please tell me what's wrong. She said, why? I said, because I don't think I can get up from here on my own. And she laughed and she said, no, I'm upset my mum didn't call me again. But in terms of the skills, the first is the micro skills, how you stand, how you breathe. People don't even know how to breathe when they're in crisis situations. They tense up. That's what they do. Don't have any threatening postures. Don't clench your fists. I used to have people in the other day saying, you do a lot of these things with your hands open. Somebody could break your fingers. Well, actually, maybe, but actually I don't look as hostile. And also to move was the other principle. Back off. If you can, always back off, right? Don't lay hands on, Don't react in that way straight away. Don't gather lots of staff around, which we do all the time in places, because actually that doesn't diffuse violence, it escalates it most of the time. It increases arousal. If I'm distressed, the last thing I need is someone watching me and then a whole gang of people watching me.
Det næste råd er, sænk forventningerne, og går ganske kort ud på at reducere krav og instruktioner fra personalet for at mindske risikoen for konflikter med personen.
The most important thing for someone who's going through a really rough time is not to engage them and start on quality of life then. It's actually to give them time to regulate, which usually means lower demands. For people with very extreme situations that I see, I scrap the programs completely, whatever they're on. Gone. For how long? Well, for as long as it takes. Now, that's got me into a lot of trouble because then people say, well, low arousals are hippies. They just take all the demands out. No, but if I'm going to teach a rule, I teach a rule, not 10 of them.
Can you give me an example of that? Lower demands.
If you look at a lot of written support plans for the people I work with, even the nice ones, they're full of demands and requests. Do's, don'ts, stop, go. Particularly the people I work with. You're thinking, how would I respond if somebody gave me that many rules? I'm struggling to learn them. An awful lot of people with autism that I work with struggle to connect the dots up with those things. Quite a lot of kids who've got communication issues can't tell us they're unwell.
So what do you do?
What you do is you give people space sometimes to say there's not going to be a demand for today. I spent a whole day with a kid once just lying in a room with him because he was in such an emotionally bad way. Curriculum, gone. That's not gone forever. But at the moment, he's had a really difficult time. He'd been at home all weekend. It was pretty traumatic for him. Monday morning, could not cope. What's going on? You need to look at this child. Yeah, okay. Right. Have I got any power? Yeah. Scrap the curriculum for the day. He needs a day off from this stuff. But he needs routine. Clearly, he doesn't need routine today because he's throwing things at you and he doesn't want to do anything. See beyond that. Right? See the traumatized kid. See the others. It will make you automatically be more empathic and connect with people.
I think they do that a lot. Try to do that a lot.
Well, people think they're doing it a lot of the time, but in general, it's a struggle for people. And the problem in my industry is we've weaponized the word behavior. You have a behavior support plan. You have rules to manage your behavior. Who the hell do we think we are to do that? All they are is to try and impose control on someone who's already overheating. And the point about it is that see and try and reflect. And we do, but we can always get better at it. It's more than a mantra. I see so much trauma around with people. And trauma takes time for people to adjust. A behaviourist might turn around and say, well, I've got a plan, I will fix that. You need time and you need relationships and you need people feeling safe. So for a young member of staff, it's almost stop rushing in and trying to fix everything. You're not repair people. You are people that are there to develop a relationship with someone. And you might not be able to develop a relationship with one kid, but be fantastic with another. We should be celebrating that rather than saying everyone's got to be consistent. That's the industry I grew up in. Now, it's a lot better than it used to be, but I'm afraid when people are quite frightened or scared of people, all those rules come back in very quickly.
Det sidste vigtige punkt, som Andy McDonnell fremhæver, er at turde sætte spørgsmål ved egen adfærd, og dermed udfordre din egen og dine kollegers overbevisninger om, hvordan man håndterer udfordrende adfærd.
We have to challenge our own behaviour because on average, something like 2/3 of all incidents are triggered by us, not the clients, not the people we're concerned. Think about it if you're at home, with your families. We do more triggering with our own mouths than anything else. If there's a simple strategy you could learn in life, is just put a tape across your mouth from time to time when you're feeling stressed. And actually a lot of the staff I work with, I use it as a joke with them saying, shut up, be quiet, don't try to fix everything. And make that person feel safe. So the last bit was, we need to challenge our own assumptions about behaviour. And that's the bit that's got probably into most trouble over the years. Because I don't think sometimes people who do low arousal, like in Denmark and Sweden and countries, a lot of people who do these approaches, they're not all taught by us, but it's great. I see it as a great honour that they're all doing their thing with it. The problem is they leave out the last bit a lot. About the fact it's much harder to talk about, did you trigger an incident with someone? Did you trigger a situation? You need to be honest to say, maybe I did. Maybe I'm not perfect. I'll improve it next time. So this idea that we inadvertently trigger behaviours says we can't change somebody who's neurodiverse. We can't. We're not going to fix them with some behavioural technology, but we can change our own behaviour. So that's the fourth guiding principle. And if you don't get that, the rest is just mechanics that people are just doing okay with, but they don't get there's a concept here, which is you change people by changing yourselves. And that did sound a bit hippie-ish, I know, but I don't apologize for that. For a man who was a hard scientist years ago, I've evolved and changed a lot.
So just for me, can you say the 4 ones again?
So, 4 big ones. Always reduce demands and requests to people in a crisis, always. 2, be aware of your own body signals and what you communicate. Give people space. Try not to impose too many situations on them, but particularly aware of what we call 3, the micro skills, how we stand, how we breathe. 90% of communication is thought to be non-verbal. We have to get people to be non-verbally literate. In fact, say less with your mouth. These elements then about challenging our own behaviour and our belief systems is the other cornerstone about it. So you can do those skills, you can keep arousal regulation low, you can reduce those demands for someone, but this is all about crisis management. The bigger stuff is this whole approach and about creating that sense of safety with people then creates the window to do all the other stuff with people. That child who's distressed, hypothetically, isn't going to be listening to you when they're literally melting down.
En ting er teori og regler. Noget andet er virkeligheden. Så hvordan deeskalerer du en konflikt? Hvordan holder du hovedet koldt og sørger for at få ro på i en ophidset situation med en borger? Lad os høre det direkte fra hestens egen mund. Low arousals opfinder Andy McDonnell.
The first thing you do is to not move towards the person or intervene. Try not to be the well-intentioned person who tries to make things better for people. The immediate response is you're dealing with somebody who's melting down. So the first thing you do is to stop yourself from responding. Bite your lip and count to 10, literally. Breathe, stop, think. Breathe first. Stop whatever you're thinking about, trying to mask a reaction, mask it, and then think, what is going on here? They're my kind of guy. Not every practitioner has the same ones, but they're mine. Don't rush in if you can help it. And that sounds really silly, but most people just go charging in or they gather people around them. The second is not to respond particularly to verbal abuse. You can call me any name you want under the sun when I'm in my day job. It does not matter. I see you as distressed and traumatized, so that's my job to actually be more tolerant of those situations. So the second bit is actually to think, how can I, micro skills, make this person know that I'm safe? That ranges from everything like sitting down near someone and not saying anything. That's really important. And not having a time limit on that. I remember sitting in a room with a guy who'd smashed the room up. He was really distressed. And I went and sat in with him. Again, I'm not brave. It's just something I do. And I just sat there. Didn't say a word. He looked up. He was running around. He was pacing. He was threatening with his fists. He was really in a distressed state. But all I said to him when he sat down was, do you want me to go? And he went, no. So that pace of that, not intervening too much, that's the first bit. Move slowly. Don't rush. Even if you want to rush, walk. Slow yourself down. Change your posture. What's the most non-threatening posture you can have around? Often it's sitting down around someone who's distressed because people feel, oh, I'm not in control now, but you're giving a signal to people. The other things are about giving people space, and then the verbal skills are about saying less. Don't make any demanding questions, even if they're well-intentioned. One of the worst things you shouldn't say to somebody is, would you like a cup of tea or drink? Because when somebody is melting down, they can't process that. So, shh, is the main bit with it. And the last bits that are in the moment is to remind yourself that this person is distressed and you won't know why. But actually, you don't need to know why. What you need to understand is they need to feel safe with you. The last bit is never raise your voice to anyone. Why would you raise your voice to someone who's distressed? To shout over them? And one of the first things that you see all the time is, shh, don't do that. It's a micro skill that even if you're in the middle of Copenhagen station or on the metro, will probably save you more than any other kind of self-defense strategy. The second bit is, can I distract that individual? And distraction is a huge part of this component, but not in some silly way where people say, oh, look over here. It's actually about, can I talk to somebody about something? Can I engage them with something that they feel safe with? And sometimes just asking, do you know what's wrong? Most people I work with don't at the moment. They're just overheated.
Low arousal handler altså om at arbejde med dig selv, for at kunne være en bedre socialpædagog over for dem, du skal hjælpe. Andy McDonnell vil ikke omtale det som en metode, men snarere som en væremåde, for det er en filosofi og et menneskesyn, hvor det handler om at se personen og ikke adfærden.
So, if I was a social educator
Yep.
and you had to give me one advice, one thing that I would take home, think about and apply to my work, what would that be about the low arousal approach? What would that be?
The other bit would be see the person, not the behaviour. Behaviours are occurring because people are distressed. See beyond that. So that's the rule for me. See the person, not the behaviour.
Det var det for nu med low arousals grundlægger Andy McDonnell. Som nævnt i introen kan du finde en oversættelse af det, du lige har hørt, i beskrivelsen til denne episode. Her kan du også finde et link til en artikel, der omhandler de 4 centrale elementer i low arousal. Socialpædagogernes podcast er produceret af podcastbureauet Kontekst og Lyd. Jeg hedder Mads Christian Hede. Tak fordi du lytter med.